Now, does that mean we're going to beat Loud? Of course it does. When it gets into this whole conversation about ZELSSIS versus PANCADA,
chegou a sua chance de ingressar no cenário competitivo de Valorant e fazer parte do time Academy da Stellai em uma parceria com a Neverest. As inscrições estão abertas para todos e o seu elo não importa. Você passará por desafios e etapas que testarão seus conhecimentos e sua gameplay, e apenas os melhores serão escolhidos. Um total de 19 jogadores serão selecionados para competir em uma hub personalizada, e ao ser selecionado você terá um coach dedicado para você e seu time. O foco será total no desenvolvimento individual e coletivo dos selecionados, e terá acesso a game house, trabalho especializado com psicólogo, media training e um upgrade no seu hardware e periféricos. O link para você se inscrever estará aqui na descrição. E lembra de usar o cupom SMOKEMID15 em qualquer compra na Neverest. Fala galera, tudo bem com vocês? Sentinels e Loud se enfrentarão dia 17 pela estreia de ambas as equipes em competições oficiais da Riot em 2024. E nessa quarta-feira o CEO da Sentinels participou do podcast do Wyatt, que é bastante conhecido por participar do Play Chat. E nessas conversas ele falou bastante sobre a montagem do novo elenco da Sentinels e também sobre a entrada dos ZELSSIS no lugar do Pancada, saca só?
and when I asked everybody, and this was right after LCQ, and I asked everybody, what is your plan? Are you going on vacation? Are you going to take a break? And they're all like, no, this was horrible. Like, we want to get going. And so at that point, we're like, okay, Champions is going to be in LA, right? Like, what better scrim partners will there be ever? And so it's like at that point, it was like, okay, we need to bring in a new IGL. And we need somebody who really connects with his teammates. So we did trials during Champions. So we're playing the teams at Champions. So there's no better way to really get a sense of, okay, how does this team stack up against the best teams in the world at their peak? And, you know, again, people are always trying to figure out how to get their head around scrim results. But it's more about seeing the communication, seeing the way the players connect and how their talents connect, right? And what we quickly saw was John's style completely connected with the other players in the team, right? Because John is super aggressive, right? John can frag, right? Which for a lot of IGLs, right? That isn't normally what they're best at. But John, it was like, oh, so John has that mindset of, oh, I could take this duel because I would win it. So let's go because you can win it. And so you quickly saw, oh, okay, this group of people plays really well together. And so that's how we then went into, like I said, what's called the offseason with that sense of, okay, this is a team that can play together, connects with each other. So we had a spectacular period run there. And so we head into the start this year, exactly the opposite of last year, right? The teams played 11 matches together as we head into the kickoff tournament versus last year where they'd played 3. And they played all 3 of them within 6 weeks as opposed to over the course of 3 months. So you're learning together. And so, yeah, we definitely come into the season in a totally different place. Now, does that mean we're going to beat Loud? Of course it does. Because we're Sentinels, we expect to win every match. From a skill level, right? We've seen TenZ at his best, right? I think he still holds like the best stat line of all time from Reykjavik, right? Second at times played like the best duelist in the world, but again, when things aren't working out around you. SOCIAIS was a world champion less than 12 months before that. PANCADA was a world champion less than 12 months before that. And we had, until the scrims at Champs, we'd never seen PANCADA playing smokes for us, right? And it was like, oh, wait, that's the guy we signed. So it was like, okay, we need somebody who could come in and gel with this group. And like I said, John instantly did. So we got John signed really quickly. Like we weren't messing around. We weren't like, oh, what are all our other options? Like, no, this works. So let's get this in place and let's get started, right? So we had our roster together, right, before anyone else, right? Because everybody else made roster changes in the off season.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you locked in TenZ re-signed really
Yeah, we
quickly as well,
re-signed
right?
Tens and brought in John.
Yeah.
And those were the two key moves we made initially. And then the last move we made, which now has created a whole another layer of complexity, right, was bringing back ZELSSIS. I'll call everybody by their gamer name just to make it
makes
simpler.
easy.
Bringing ZELSSIS back, who had a brief run with us, but we loved his attitude, right? There's nobody who brings more passion to the game. No one who's more like, do you need me to do something for the sponsors? Do you need me to shoot content? Like, tell me what you need me to do. And he was fully committed to being the sixth man and being like, I'm going to be here. I'm going to show up. I'm going to move in like our offices. The players all live in apartments that are probably like 200 yards from our office. He moved into that building. He was there on time for every practice. So he was there going through everything with the team. And so now the first problem was PANCADA got stuck in Brazil for a while getting his visa renewed. So then ZELSSIS was playing with the team. And then we started the offseason by smashing Moist Shopify in the first map of our show match. And then everything went wrong on the next two maps and we lost. And then when we were getting ready for the next show match, then PANCADA was sick. We do have a problem with illness in our franchise for some reason. PANCADA was sick, so ZELSSIS steps right in. And we were losing to G2 2-10 on map 1. And then out of nowhere, and this was a big part of why we did bring ZELSSIS in, is that optimism of like, we're down 2-10 at the switch, whatever. We're now on the favored side of this map. And we then run it back and win 13-11, right? We haven't lost since. We haven't lost a match since that moment. So for me, that was like the key moment in this roster coming together, is when suddenly it was like, here we go again. We'd lost to Moist Shopify in the first show match. We're down 10-2 to G2. We had never beaten that group as Sentinels. We had never beat those four guys who used to be on the guard. Not one time. And here we were again, and it was like, okay. And we rolled them and then won map 2. And like I said, we haven't lost a match since. So when it gets into this whole conversation about ZELSSIS versus PANCADA, right, you're also looking at how do these 5 players work together and how do they gel together? And so you can have a situation where on paper you're saying this is the player with more raw skill, but this is the player who these guys are playing at their best when they're playing together, right? So it is like sometimes where you have an agent, right, that is OP, but you're better off at a different agent, so therefore you're better off playing the agent you're great on. And that is a little bit where we're at right now with ZELSSIS and PANCADA, is this team just clicked and just was playing at a different level.